I think we're going to hit the 100K. But then I think it's pretty normal to have these 25 or 30% pullbacks. And we had 6 or 7 of them in 2016 and 17. In 2020, 2021, we also had 5 or 6 of them. So it's pretty normal in the Bitcoin world to have big, sharp corrections. And how much more so when you've got an option market overlaid on a Bitcoin market, which is trading gamma. So to me, I wouldn't be surprised if it happened. That is why I'm starting to accumulate cash. That's why I'm 8% in cash, targeting 30% in cash in the next 4 weeks. I suspect the correction comes just before the inauguration. So sometime between now and January, I suspect the crash comes. And I think, I'm not going to sell any of my core holdings, but I am going to reduce my leveraged holdings, and I'm going to reduce my trading holdings, and I'm going to be sitting on a pile of cash. So when that inevitable dip does come, I'm ready to capitalize on it. This is the very, very, very beginning of a retail run.
Rand Neuner begins by addressing the Bitcoin daily chart, highlighting the breakout from a 7-month downtrend that coincided with the U.S. elections on November 5th. This date marked a pivotal shift, driven by the possibility of Donald Trump's re-election as markets anticipated a pro-crypto administration. Contrasting this with the previous anti-crypto stance, symbolized by figures like Elizabeth Warren, Rand underscores how a friendlier regulatory environment has ignited optimism. The appointment of pro-crypto leaders across key regulatory bodies adds another layer of bullish sentiment, setting the stage for what he calls the most bullish 4 years for crypto.
Please take a little time to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications for more videos like this. You can also check out our other videos on cryptocurrencies and the overall digital asset space and drop your comments and observations in the comments section below. Everything you do helps with the YouTube algorithm and immensely contributes to the channel's growth. Thanks and enjoy the video.
If you look at the daily chart on Bitcoin, what you realize is that you're getting into some kind of parabola over here. And the parabola actually, we broke out of a 7-month downtrend on the elections. On the thought of Trump actually being elected. On the 5th of November, which is the election day, people realized that, it could have gone either way. It could have gone back into the downtrend if Kamala won and, up if Trump actually landed up winning. And that's when the market actually started to go parabolic. And then you got to ask yourself, okay, well, why? Well, if you look at the kind of noises that are happening right now, we've gone from an administration that ran on an anti-crypto army in Elizabeth Warren to one that's running on a pro-crypto army. You've gone from a head of the SEC who wouldn't meet Brian Armstrong, who's the biggest CEO of the biggest exchange in the US, to Trump wanting to meet Brian Armstrong. You've got people that have been nominated as the head of the SEC, which are all very, very, very pro-crypto. You've got a Secretary of Commerce, which has been appointed, who is very, 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 very pro-crypto. And so it feels like all the puzzle pieces have just fallen for the most bullish 4 years ahead for crypto. And this is coming out of an environment where we've gone through probably what were the 4 most abusive years for crypto people in the United States. That's the first thing. The second thing that people don't realize as to why we're getting so much pump today is because what we had, let me just share my screen so that you can actually look at it.
Yes.
What we had is we had the launch of IBIT Bitcoin futures, IBIT Bitcoin options yesterday, right? And those IBIT Bitcoin options, effectively how they work is if you've got more buyers of calls than buyers of puts, then the market makers have to hedge the risk. And they hedge the risk by buying the underlying, right? So if I buy one option, the market maker has to go and then buy the underlying to hedge the option, right? And so in a bull market, when you get the ratio of put to calls that looks something like that, then there is a lot of buying pressure which gets put onto the underlying asset. And so we couldn't have had a better launch, or we couldn't have had this launch at a better time, because now what you're getting is you're getting additional pressure coming onto the market. And then you've got this maniac called Michael Saylor who just carries on raising and raising and raising more money to buy more Bitcoin. I mean, he was going to raise $1.75 billion, and investors he had so much demand that he actually raised it to $2.6 billion. And he's working on a $42 billion plan to buy Bitcoin. And that's why MicroStrategy is actually now at session highs or at season highs. So when you put all those things together, you've got like this perfect storm of bullish news for Bitcoin. And yeah, I mean, really bullish. And I think for people who've been watching our shows or people that have been following us for a while, we anticipated this in case of a Trump win. We got the Trump win. And I think now we're going to carry on going. I think we're going to hit the 100K. But then I think it's pretty normal to have these 25 or 30% pullbacks. And we had 6 or 7 of them in 2016 and 17. In 2020, 2021, we also had 5 or 6 of them. So it's pretty normal in the Bitcoin world to have big, sharp corrections. And how much more so when you've got an option market overlaid on a Bitcoin market, which is trading gamma. So to me, I wouldn't be surprised if it happened. That is why I'm starting to accumulate cash. That's why I'm 8% in cash, targeting 30% in cash in the next 4 weeks. I suspect the correction comes just before the inauguration. So sometime between now and January, I suspect the crash comes. And I think, I'm not going to sell any of my core holdings, but I am going to reduce my leveraged holdings and I'm going to reduce my trading holdings and I'm going to be sitting on a pile of cash. So when that inevitable dip does come, I'm ready to capitalize on it. I'm sitting on cash short term because I'm expecting the market correction to happen, but in the next 4 to 8 weeks. So even in 4 to 8 weeks on a 4% or 5% annualized yield, I'm losing nothing. Like you're talking about, like Bitcoin is up today in 1 day 3%. You're talking about small money in the big scheme of things. We know that retail aren't naturally part of the beginning of a cycle. It takes a while to get the retail investor back into a cycle. Bear in mind, we've been in a 7-month downtrend, which was long, 7 months, over 200 days of downtrend. Let's we could just measure it. We were in a 250-day downtrend. And only 2 weeks ago did we break out of that downtrend, believe it or not. And so you can't expect retail to come in the first 2 weeks. What we are seeing now is we're seeing retail coming back. And the reason why I know this is because if you look at the tokens that have run in the last week, these are what we call the dinosaur tokens. Stellar Lumens, Algorand, HBAR, Tezos, XRP, Cardano. These are all the old tokens. And so what's going on now is that retail are looking at this and going, we want to be in crypto. And they're coming in with the coins that they know and the coins that they have access to on the trading platforms, which are platforms like Robinhood. And they are not as up to date as the crypto native people of what's actually going on. And so these are clear. No one in crypto would ever in their right mind buy Cardano, like just so you're clear. But the retail investors are coming in and actually buying Cardano because they don't know what's happened in the last 3 years. And they don't know that there's new coins that have come in with better technology, et cetera, et cetera. And so I think we're now at the beginning of a retail run. And that's why I think this is the very, very, very beginning of a retail run.
Rand's experience across 4 market cycles lends credibility to his analysis. He explains the cyclical nature of Bitcoin dominance, where the leading cryptocurrency outperforms initially before altcoins take the spotlight. This shift typically occurs when investors believe Bitcoin's upside is limited, prompting them to explore higher risk, higher reward opportunities in altcoins. However, Rand cautions against overexposure to speculative assets, particularly meme coins, which are prone to extreme volatility. For now, his focus remains on Bitcoin and select altcoins with strong fundamentals, preparing for the inevitable altcoin rally that accompanies mature bull markets.
Bitcoin always runs first every single cycle, and the altcoins only run when you get to a point where you truly believe that this time is going to be different and it's going to be a Bitcoin only run. And that's when the scorpion stings you with his tail and then everything moves into altcoins. Yeah. And so having been around for 4 cycles, this is my 4th, I can quite confidently say that this is absolutely normal. I mean, the one thing that maybe is a little bit abnormal is that Ethereum has been a bit of a laggard this cycle. I mean, it's been pretty dead. And I think, which to me is a bit strange, especially because Ethereum is the only other crypto with an ETF in the United States. So if people want to deploy capital in the United States, institutional capital, and they can't hold underlying assets or they can't hold the actual digital securities, what they're going to be doing is they're going to be buying Bitcoin. When they think the returns on Bitcoin are too high, they're going to start moving some money into Ethereum. I know this because that's how I got in And Dave, I'm almost sure that that's how you got into all the altcoins. If you're in any of the altcoins, you started with Bitcoin and then you were like, okay, this thing's, run a lot. Maybe I should now get into ETH. So I think right now it's a Bitcoin run. I wouldn't be over indexing on the altcoins, but I would be starting to make investments in the altcoins because I know that the inevitable altcoin run is going to arrive. One thing you know about crypto is that in bull markets, you have a lot of corrections. In 2016 and 2017, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 corrections on the run up, which were all over 30%. And what you'll realize about these corrections is that they are very steep on Bitcoin, but if you're holding altcoins, the charts are the dips are even more scary. And if you're holding meme coins, which fundamentally have zero value, they're going to have the worst dips. And so for me, what I'm doing now in this all-time high period is I'm actually starting to accumulate cash. So I'll show you what I'm doing. I've built this thing called the cashometer, and I'm trying to get my portfolio into 30% cash for when the inevitable dip comes so that I can buy all these meme coins and altcoins. Right now I'm on about 8. I think this correction happens in the next 4 to 8 weeks. Could happen slightly before, but I think the next 4 to 8 weeks. And when that correction comes, I want to have cash to be able to buy it. And so I'm starting to accumulate money now. I know that in times when there is extreme greed in a market, you want to be selling and you want to be accumulating cash, and you want to be buying when there's extreme fear. And so I'm playing that game. Obviously, I'm not touching my fundamental portfolio. This is just, the trading portfolio that I'm starting to get a little bit more into cash. Bitcoin goes up, altcoins, but Bitcoin goes up a lot, altcoins go up a little. Bitcoin goes down a little, altcoins go down a lot. It's a weird relationship that they have at the beginning of the cycle. It's nothing to get excited about or stressed about. It's absolutely, absolutely normal. And that's why I'm sitting here so relaxed in my altcoin and my Bitcoin positions. I've seen this movie before, and it's not something that phases me at this stage of the game. I've seen it. And this time won't be different, sir. You have Trump, who mentioned once in a speech, he said, I may just pay back the debt using Bitcoin. I don't know if you ever saw that speech. And, maybe it sounds a little bit far-fetched, but just think about a world like this. If the US starts buying up 1 million Bitcoin, which is what Cynthia Loomis says, and as soon as they do, you get other nations following, right? And then you get nations following the US, and that drives up the price even more. Now you've got the US with a $36 trillion debt, but on the other hand, they've got an asset on their balance sheet, a hard asset on their balance sheet, which is increasing in value, which would then give the US the ability to borrow more or to lend more because they could collateralize the debt with their Bitcoin, right? And so they'd be allowed to take more and more and more and more debt. And so, look, it is far-fetched, but it's definitely the most exciting thing that I've ever heard, because if it does happen, you could get a situation where Bitcoin does become the reserve. And, you extrapolate that a little bit further, and you could say that there'll be a new version of fiat dollars, which is actually backed by Bitcoin in reserves. It's not impossible to think that could happen.
Rand Neuner's insights provide a comprehensive roadmap for navigating the current crypto landscape. From the macroeconomic factors driving Bitcoin's ascent to the strategic adjustments needed to weather market corrections, his analysis is a masterclass in understanding crypto cycles. Whether you're a seasoned investor or a newcomer, these lessons are invaluable for positioning yourself in what could be one of the most exciting bull markets in crypto history.
Please like and subscribe my channel.